1 year ago, we were all crushed when a Highlands Ranch mom killed her two young sons and herself in the family minivan. And tonight, for the very first time, the husband and father left behind, his name's Ryan Labor, is sharing his profoundly heartbreaking story. And he's doing it to save someone else from suffering, maybe you. And throughout this story, on the bottom of your screen, there's a number you can call right now if you need help.
Jen and Ryan Labor's first year of marriage was not what they were expecting. It was 2005 in Minnesota, and Jen fell into her first episode of depression. She regained all the weight she lost for the wedding. She lost 3 jobs, and she tried to kill herself.
Over the course of the next 5 years, she had 4 different attempts, each with a hospitalization thereafter.
Jen was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It took dozens of different drug and therapy combinations, but they were finally able to get it under control. And after a year and a half of stability, Ryan and Jen felt it was safe to talk about having kids. And Ryan asked her a tough question.
Whether or not she could hurt children if she ever got back into a depressive state. She said no, she could never hurt the kids.
But they made a mistake during that conversation.
The mistake we made was that we had forgotten that when she got into a depressive mode, she lost that rationality, and as a result, we didn't see that one coming.
They decided to have children, and in short order, Jen gave birth to Ethan, and 2 years later to Adam.
Ethan was our lover. Adam was our fighter. He loved to cuddle incessantly, particularly with Jen. She was at peace being a mom. It was her most favorite thing in life.
Ryan accepted a great job in Denver, and the Labor family left Minneapolis for a beautiful cul-de-sac life in Highlands Ranch.
What are you guys going to do?
You could literally walk to Ethan's elementary school. Tons of play sets and that sort of thing to play around with. It was perfect.
It was perfect. And it had now been 6.5 years without even a hint of Jen's depression.
What'd you find?
That one.
November 29th, 2016 was just a regular Tuesday when Ryan came home from work.
The house was dark. I usually got home between 5 and 5:30 every night. Had family dinner. She wasn't home. And it wasn't uncommon. There maybe had been an appointment that she had to go to. So I just hung out at the house.
There was a routine to weeknights. Dad home by 5:30, family dinner, Ethan and Adam in bed by 7:30. This night, the boys' bedtime came and went, and they still weren't home. And Jen still wasn't answering her phone.
Closer to 8 o'clock is when I called the police.
They said they'd keep an eye out, but the only possible explanation was that Ryan must have done something to make Jen mad, and she was headed back to Minnesota with the boys. In fact, that week they had talked about moving back home.
There was no sign whatsoever that she was intending on hurting herself or the boys. Nothing at all.
The next morning, after a restless night, a friend called asking if he'd seen the news.
I booted up a local news site on the laptop, and I saw a helicopter shot over the top of the minivan, and that there was 3 bodies inside.
Do you know it was your minivan?
Yeah. It was very clear it was the minivan.
Ryan called police again. This time they wouldn't say anything on the phone except they were sending officers to his house. He knew.
It's at that point that I decided I should pray. I went up to Ethan's room and I clenched his bed. And I pressed his pillow to my face to pick up his scent. And then I saw 3 cars pull up with 4 police officers that got out. And that was the 100% mark. I knew then.
The day before, while Ryan was at work, Jen bought a Glock 9mm handgun and picked up Ethan early from kindergarten. She drove the 2 boys in the minivan to the loading dock area of a closed Sports Authority store in Lone Tree. She drugged them. Both had opioids and Benadryl in their systems, and then, still strapped into their car seats, she shot 5-year-old Ethan and 3-year-old Adam in their necks and shot herself in the head. Jen left a 4-page letter in the minivan. In it, she explained that she felt ugly, unhealthy, and needed to leave this world for a better one, for heaven.
Then she talked about having no cognition of the self-harm by taking the boys with her, that she thought it was okay for them all to go, and that she would raise them there. She actually said in the letter that they deserved a mother who was healthy 24/7. And that's the only place she could get that. And so that she needed to go there, and so did they.
Her depression had obviously returned, but this time she kept it a secret, blindsiding everyone. Searches on her phone revealed the depression had only come back in October, but consumed her in that final month and a half.
She had web history, searching for homes back in Minnesota, and how to commit suicide.
None of us would dare imagine what the days and weeks following were like for Ryan. Seeing his little boys' bodies at the funeral home.
You could feel Ethan's bony limbs. You could feel Adam's sturdy shoulders, and it brought back all sorts of memories, but it doesn't answer where they are.
When you're a parent, this thing happens. You have to always know where your kids are, at school, with the sitter, upstairs. But now that thing, that precious parent-child GPS was offline, and Ryan just couldn't get past that. For the first time, he couldn't answer where they were.
It wasn't until Father's Day, a cruel holiday this year, that his faith allowed him to settle on an answer he could live with.
And it struck me. I'm still a father. I'm just a father of angels.
What was your last conversation with her? Do you remember?
As I would get dressed and get ready for work, there was always a time to say goodbye. So on that morning was like no other. I gave each of the boys a hug and a kiss. I gave Jen a hug and a kiss and said, I love you. And that was the last conversation. So at least it was a good memory.
This month it'll be a year since Ryan's family was stolen from him. He still lives in the house and is slowly packing away their things.
And so little by little, as I'm able, I'm tackling room by room. I haven't been able to touch Ethan's room. Ethan's room had all the books we read at night. It had toys and stuff like that. And so that's been left untouched. I've been told that at some point in time, the house will no longer be filled with memories, but filled with ghosts. I haven't gotten there yet.
The days are still hard, some harder than others, but through therapy and faith, Ryan is starting to stitch a life back together. He even occasionally allows himself to think about having a family again.
Yeah, I have hope to have a wife and kids again someday.
As improbable as it seems, Ryan doesn't blame Jen. Jen was sick. Depression is a sickness, and that sickness is to blame.
To the person who is suffering, I want them to know that there are a plethora of people out there who want to listen. It could be the police, a friend, a family member, a neighbor. It just takes one person to help you.
To think, Jen was just one person away from still being here with Ethan, Adam, and Ryan in their perfect cul-de-sac home.